All right, you guys, I am back with the rewatch. It's time for episode 3. Woo, there's some tea spilled in this one. Let's talk about it. Hey you guys, welcome back to our Lipstick Reality TV. If you're new here, welcome. Hit the subscribe button. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but especially sister wives, and who doesn't love sister wives, right? If you're coming back, hey guys, Red Lipstick Club, welcome back to the party. Hit the like button, you guys shared the video, and definitely leave some comments below because the comment section's always lit over here. And you know I like to get in there and to everybody. So that's how I'm able to chat with you. So definitely leave some comments below on what you think about the episode, what you think about sister wives, and maybe you have something else you want me to look into. But either way, episode 3, y'all. Going back, you guys, watching these episodes back, knowing what we know now, and actually I'm kind of glad that I waited a little bit to start doing these again because I'm really loving watching these while watching the tell-alls. Because as we've noticed, last week we had the first, or this past Sunday, we had the first episode of the tell-all where basically Kody is rewriting history and Robyn does the same. And so I'm really going to start pointing out to you guys more and more how both of them are doing a lot of rewriting of history, and even maybe pointing out some areas where all of them were pretty much lying to us, making up things in the past episodes, and now all that stuff's coming out and we're like, so that was a lie. So I might be pointing those out as we go through these episodes, you guys. I'm going to be pointing that out because that is coming up more and more as I'm watching and doing the rewatch for the episodes. As you can see, I'm in a different setting. You guys, this is why I was not able to do live today. Barely got here, but I made it. I travel a ton for my actual 9-to-5, and it has me all over the country, and sometimes stuff gets a little woo-woo. So I will definitely reschedule because I want to make sure I get on live with you. You know, it's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm so sad that we missed it this week. So I'm going to make sure I reschedule so we can get on a live together and have some combos because I really want to know how you guys felt about the tell-alls and what you think is going to happen on this upcoming episode. Without further ado, there was only, well, no. This episode was, I think, maybe 20-something minutes long. It wasn't that long. Maybe like 22 minutes long, episode 3. And the crazy thing about episode 3 is that not episode, but just these first few episodes of season 1, they're really short, but they pack a lot in a little, and I prefer that, to be honest. I almost wish they would just go back to like 30-minute episodes of the show and then just give me quality content within that 30 minutes. I don't need an hour, so you guys can try to fill an hour slot with a whole bunch of clips from the episode before or old clips from years past and seasons past. Like, just give me quality content, give me a solid 30 minutes of it and be done. So I don't know, I'm hoping, I don't think they'll ever change it back to a 30-minute segment, but to me the 30-minute segments were a lot more entertaining, a lot easier to get through. They need to go through that because they don't have enough content to fill an hour. I'm sorry. This episode is called Wives on the Move, obviously, because they're finally moving Robyn, y'all. At this episode, in episode 3, Kody and Robyn are now engaged, right? He did that corny thing where he asked about hot cocoa and used a little ring made of string, and they had their moment and they're engaged, okay? We're finally going to, though, get Robyn closer to the family. As you guys know, she was living like 5 hours away from the family, which means, guess what? Kody was traveling every few days or so to go see Robyn, and we all know that was an issue for the family, and she was basically getting as much time, if not more time, than the other wives because of that. We're going to talk more about why she ends up in her own home as opposed to living in the house with the rest of them, but it's all very interesting to me. So they're finally moving forward with that move, and then Kody rallies up all of his older daughters to basically plan to throw a birthday party for Robyn. And they're all getting together. It's Aspen, it's Leon, it's Maddie, and then Mykelti, and I think that's it, those 4. Yeah, those 4 were the 4 that were there. So they're planning this birthday party, and they're all talking about how kind of weird it is to have for their dad dating somebody, which it would be so awkward, especially because he's technically still with your mom. Then they bring up how young she is, which this is kind of one of the only references that they really allow them to talk about their feelings regarding Robyn's age and how young Robyn is. And also even just being able to look at her as a mother figure, you know, when somebody's that young, number one, and then they come in after the fact, like they have never known their lives without having the 3 moms. So now not only are they in polygamy, but now you're adding this courting situation and you're adding a younger woman. You're watching your dad fall in love with him. She's saying things like, oh, I missed your dad because the coat smells like your dad when I hug you. I mean, ugh, you know, so I can see why the girls are like, this is crazy. I will point out a moment here, though, that Maddie says, if she saw another woman with her husband, she'd rip her hair out. And I'm like, same Maddie. Like, I think Maddie's very adamant about not being a polygamist. And now as we're fast forwarding and we're seeing Christine go through this, it's like, Christine is like, okay, I get it. Maddie got it back then. Like, I want that man focused on me. And there's no way I can watch this man fall in love with somebody else and just be okay with it. Maddie was being one of the most authentic and honest people on this show. Like, she was telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I do notice too that Janelle kind of tries to gloss over the transition of bringing a new wife in, where Janelle basically says, well, they're used to this culture because they've grown up in it, because they go to school with, you know, other kids that parents have gotten married and courted. So, you know, this is familiar to them. It doesn't matter how familiar it is watching another family do it. That doesn't mean you've ever watched your family do it. They've never witnessed their family court anybody. They've never witnessed their dad fall in love with somebody else. They've never witnessed their parents, their mothers struggle with this. They've never witnessed that. That is a huge transition. And not only are you asking them to accept a new mom, treat her as a mom, and then also have new siblings come into the family, like, that's a lot. And also think about this. Those older kids really know more about living in poverty. And McKelty brought that up too. Like, even at times they were struggling to have enough food to eat. So, you know, those older kids were also thinking, we're barely getting by with, you know, what we have now. And now you're going to add 3 more kids and another wife. And also too, she's not living in the same home. So now you're paying for another house and we can barely make ends meet here. And Gwen also talks about the beds that were in those bedrooms. They had just gotten those beds because they had got some TLC money, but they were basically living like peasants, you know, prior to this happening. So I could just see those older kids being like, this is a mess. Why are you doing this? What is the need for you to bring another wife in? I don't think it made sense to them when you've only seen your parents together for this amount of time, your whole lives. Anyway, Robyn talks about how she lived in polygamous culture with her ex, y'all. Robyn, you never had a sister wife. You might have went to a polygamous church, but baby, you were not a polygamist, right? So don't even mention that you were in the culture, because you weren't. You didn't have a wife. You never courted anybody. You had nobody. You never got married. Your husband never married anybody else. You never had to deal with that. It was honestly pointless for her to even bring it up. You were living monogamy, and that was it. You were not a polygamist. This is also, you guys, the infamous moment. We're going to put the clip in here.
Kody and Robyn, they got engaged and everything, and I thought, oh, that's nice. They're engaged now, so now it's more official. Like a month later, I found out that Kody sealed the engagement with a kiss, and I freaked. We didn't kiss until over the altar because I didn't feel right about kissing a married man. And so to me, the fact that he had kissed Robyn was devastating.
Okay, I want you guys to tell me how you would feel. Put down in the comments below if you had been raised in this culture where you do not have any contact until your wedding day. You didn't do that. Your sister wives waited. And then this new young thing comes along and is already from the beginning breaking the rules that are connected to the faith and the principle that you follow. Tell me in the comments below what your reaction would be. As we see, Christine's reaction was anger. She was furious with Kody. He has this blank face, y'all, through this whole segment where she's talking about it. Like, he has no response, no answer, no apology. Kind of leaves it hanging out there to dry. Then Robyn comes in and is trying to then offset it all onto Kody as if she had nothing to do with the fact that this man kissed her. Robyn, had you not made him feel comfortable, he would not have done that. Had you not all established between each other what the rules and boundaries were going to be, he would not do that. So really what this shows me is you guys are probably breaking a lot of the rules that you know you shouldn't have for a long time, because he was a little too comfortable, right? Why was he that comfortable? Because if you would have established boundaries prior to this, he would not have done that. Then she goes with the fake crying, makes herself the victim again. So nobody can retaliate. Nobody can have a response, right? Now you can't be mad at her because she's crying. And this is how she remains and keeps herself the constant victim in every situation. And this has been her manipulation tactic, as we see from the beginning. I think she's always been like this her whole life. But if we're just judging based off the show, she's been like this since season 1, where she's used fake crying and acting overly emotional about a situation and wounded as an opportunity to exit a tough situation where she's basically been called to the carpet about something, where she should have to really have a serious conversation about it, and she avoids having anything negative go to her by crying. Good job, Robyn. So anyway, that happens. Then Christine also talks about in this moment how just him courting Robyn in general was already breaking the family apart. Again, Kody has no response. He just kind of sits and listens. And as you know, we just watching this tell-all where Kody basically says he was never in love with any of these women. And we also find out during this time, he was obviously very much in love with Robyn. And I feel like we can start to see this shift in his behavior. Like, even though he's like touching the other women, I feel like his silence spoke volumes to me, because he wasn't co-signing the feelings of the other wives in this moment. He was letting them go on and on about it, but he didn't come back and say, you know what, man, I should not have done that, or I did not handle that well, or, you know, he avoided that. It was all really a focus on number one, protecting Robyn, and because he loved that woman. So he wasn't about to go act like he didn't love this woman to these wives that he really didn't want to be with anymore, to be honest. And then Mary, I think Mary, she gets like she has an emotional crying moment. When everybody else is emotional and crying, they're actually crying with tears. Robyn's the only one that has no tears. And all these times somebody find me a clip where an actual tear falls, because I have yet to see one. And this woman has fake cried more on camera than anybody I know. And I have yet to see one tear. Mary's on there. Mary's eyes are wet, watering. Christine, you can tell she's crying. And she was really upset. You know, she's talking about how she was really comfortable with Janelle and Christine. And I think too, Mary almost dug her own grave with this, because I think Christine and Janelle would have been okay with Mary had she not brought Robyn. I really think, you guys, deep down, they blame Mary for Robyn. I really do. I don't know if Janelle would ever admit it, but I feel like Christine would. But I just think they blame Mary for bringing her in. And I think Mary should listen to her own intuition that was telling her something's not good about this. Whether you wanted an ally or not, right? Whether or not you felt like it kind of felt like 2 against 1 with Christine and Janelle, you would have been better off figuring that out than bringing this other woman in, because this is what tore down your whole family. Also, too, you guys, Mary's talking about leaving in season 1 here. Season 1, episode 3. She's already talking about leaving Kody. And she says the only reason she stays is because of her commitment and because of her child. Because she doesn't want her child to be without their family. And that wouldn't be fair to them. So even in season 1, you guys, she was already talking about leaving this man. And the reason she didn't leave him is based off commitment and her kid. The writing was on the wall clearly from a long time. And I think maybe a year or 2 after this, Kody basically had cut Mary off. Like, pretty much once they moved to Vegas, he was done with Mary. Like, he got what he needed. He kept Mary strung along long enough to where Mary would support Robyn coming into the family. And once he got what he needed, He did not need Mary anymore. He was not going to keep faking it with Mary. All right, you guys, segment 2. I don't know how they fit 4 segments into this 22 minutes and how I'm talking for this long about it, but there was a lot of information, you guys. So I'm going to talk about it. Segment 2. Okay, so Christine is now talking more about her pregnancy with Truly. She talks about how she had a miscarriage the year before she was pregnant with Truly. And she was 37 when she got pregnant with Truly. And I was sitting here thinking, you guys, this man decides to go court another woman and bring all that stress onto Christine after she just had a miscarriage the year before, while she's trying to carry to full term her 6th child. Why would why of all times would you think, while your wife who has already had fertility issues, has had issues with not miscarrying, she's miscarried a child, why would you bring extra stress on her by courting somebody? Why? Like the level of selfishness with that. And I'm also thinking about the other sister wives. Like, I would have told him, like, Kody, you're not about to court somebody while Christine is pregnant. She just had a miscarriage a year ago. We don't want to put extra stress on her. You being with another woman is going to put stress on her, serious stress on her. I don't know how Christine made it to full term, y'all, with that history. That's nothing but the grace of God, because the stress that I'm sure she was under, the emotional stress, even the physical stress of not having Kody around and having more on your plate. Because I'm pretty sure Christine mentioned during this time that she was like pregnant with Truly, working a part-time job to bring in extra money, and Aspen was tucking the kids in. Where was Kody? Oh, I'm sure he was with Robyn somewhere 5 hours away, courting a woman while your wife that just had a miscarriage a year ago is pregnant again. But okay, hey, we're following the principle, right, you guys? This is the calling. The calling apparently is more important than Christine's life or her potential new child's life. That's what they're telling us anyway. She also mentions in this segment that Kody was, I guess, a good dad at one point. And I think having that Lehigh house where they were all connected really forced him to be a good dad, because he couldn't really hide. And also too, I mean, I hate to say it, but it made it a lot easier for him. Like, if I was the polygamous man, yeah, it'd be a lot harder and more exhausting to go from house to house to house. If I had one home where they were all there, I think I would be a little bit more adamant to visit and just pop in and pop out and, see my kids more and stuff. And that would probably make me a better father. So I could see during this time period where they were in that Lehigh house that Kody probably was a better dad, because he was physically able to get places faster and be able to probably stay a little bit longer. I mean, like, think about the amount of time you spend just commuting from place to place, and you've got to remove that component because you're in one home. I get it. This made me kind of sad, you guys, but Christine talks about how excited she was to maybe be able to have kids with Robyn, and she would even think about having like a 7th kid if it meant she got to raise the kids with Robyn. And I just think this is where Robyn really betrayed the sister wife, the calling, like, not the calling, but like the sisterhood of sister wives, when she really alienated Christine when it came to the child rearing of Solomon and Ariella. I really believe when she didn't come to Christine to help with child rearing, even the oldest 3, when she didn't come to Christine to help her with that, because she was using this as an opportunity to isolate Kody and get more of Kody's time, rather than thinking about building actual solid relationships with her sister wives and trust with her sister wives. I mean, there's nothing greater. There's no more trust that you can give a person than to let them raise your kids, right? So by her not giving that to Christine, it just showed Christine, this woman is not here for us. She's here for Kody. She's here for the man, not the family. And I don't think Christine really ever trusted her, you guys, after Robyn went and got a nanny and got help instead of working with Christine so Christine could help her with child rearing. So that's just something that kind of stood out for me. Moving on, y'all, segment 3 already, because this is a short episode. So in segment 3, they're now moving Robyn closer to the family. And you guys, this is when they have like a whole bunch of family chaos. That Brown family chaos is, I think, why we all really fell in love with this show. just seeing these kids and seeing these wives and stuff like running all over the place. And it seems like they're never going to accomplish whatever their goal is, but they do. And it's very Brady Bunchy, and I loved it. And I think this is what just really hooked me into the show, is watching all the madness occur. And then they still loved each other at the end, right? I mean, yeah, we'll be arguing, but we're going to love each other at the end. And I think that's something I really miss about this show, is just that like brown level chaos that just made them a family that you loved and you fell in love with, and just made it TV magic, right? So we saw a little bit of that. They talk about how the distance for Robyn living far away had created a strain with the family, and Kody going to visit her, leaving the rest of the family behind, which we all know that was going to be an issue. And also, you guys, Robyn didn't care, because Robyn was trying to get her solo time. And if she really cared so much about the sister wives, she would have told Kody, we can't have this much solo time courting. They didn't get this much solo time courting. Why should I? But I think she knew she could get this man to fall in love with her, just like I think most women would know that if you had a lot of time on your own to do it. Who knows how he would have felt about Christine or Janelle or even Mary if he would have had the amount of time he had to court Robyn, to court them. Who knows what the differences would have been, y'all? Probably nothing, because he's still a narcissist, but nonetheless. And also, you know, people are getting a little, I don't know, weirdo about people using different terminology or saying that we're diagnosing him. You guys, I think at this point in the world of the internet, we all have enough access to reputable websites and information to see exactly what a narcissist is. If you don't know what it is, I'll insert the definition, the Webster definition here. We have all had access to medical information enough to come to a basic conclusion that more likely than not, this man suffers from narcissism. It is not a diagnosis. It's just an assumption based off the fact that his behaviors 9 times out of 10 are matching up with what the legal definition of narcissism is. And I'm going to keep talking about it. And I'm sure other reviewers will too. But no one's trying to say the man's clinically crazy. If people in the comments want to say things other than that, that's fine. But to tell reviewers that they can't have an opinion about these things when we all have access to a lot of information via the internet, that is actual factual information, cut it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on, you guys. So Robyn talks about growing up in polygamy, you guys. Again, Robyn, you didn't grow up in polygamy. Your dad, your stepdad was married to 2 women, but they were in 2 different states. They never lived together. I'm sorry, you didn't live the principle. They might have called it polygamy, but they were basically living double monogamy. Then she talks about how she loves Madison. She starts the fake crying again about it. And I'm just thinking, man, you love Madison. You notice that Madison was still very supportive of you from the beginning, even if Madison didn't believe in polygamy. A lot of these kids were very supportive of Robyn. Robyn has made no effort to maintain those relationships with a bulk of them. And this has nothing to do with Kody. Robyn could have made an effort, because those older kids, especially, a lot of them gave her space to do so. When Leon was younger, Leon was very close to Robyn. What happened? Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of those balls dropped, and that's on Robyn. That's not on Kody. Robyn dropped the ball on a lot of the relationships with some of those older kids. And I think had Robyn really maintained those, when all these other marriages started to fall apart, I don't think it would have been so bad. I think they actually would have still maintained a connection with Robyn. Would have been easier for her kids to maintain a relationship with their siblings, even if Kody was struggling and breaking up with his other wives. And it goes all the way back to the beginning, as we're seeing, where Robyn had the opportunity to maintain these relationships with these children, and she failed miserably. Also, they're packing up. Robyn also talks about Dayton's neurodivergent behavior. I don't know if I always agree with talking about your child's, personal diagnosis like that, but I will say this: when your kid is on national television and they're kind of being judged and everybody's watching them and stuff, this is one of those instances where I'm like, you know what? It might be a good idea to maybe just mention it, because I don't want this kid to be bullied. And you know how people get. They get to bullying online. And so I would understand why Robyn would want to bring that up and kind of let us know what was going on with Dayton. Because you can kind of see a few of the signs then. And if you don't know, people will come up with any conclusion they want to. And I don't think that's fair to Dayton at all. Then we go for Robyn. This is where she basically says, you know, Robyn always says like that her kids, she didn't feel like her kids were safe around everybody. And it's interesting because Christine brings up here that she was really worried about Robyn's kids and their transition into the new home. And there's a lot of change happening for her kids. Even Janelle talks about it. And Christine was just really focused on making sure Robyn's kids had a smooth transition. Once again, I'm just like, your kids were not left out. Your kids literally were at the forefront of these moms' minds, the other wives' minds, to make sure that they were okay. Because that's what any mom would do. So I'm just like, acknowledge that, Robyn. These insecurities that you have, you've put these on your children. It wasn't Christine doing this. It wasn't Janelle doing this. It was you. It's you, boo-boo. All right, y'all. Final segment 4. Kody, of course, has to find a way to point out flaws in his wives. He basically says that Mary is overthinks things. It's packing. Like, I have watched now Mary pack multiple trucks from watching all the seasons of Sister Wives, and pack anything. That woman's like a Tetris wizard when it comes to packing. It's something that she takes a lot of pride in. And instead of him looking at that situation and being like, you know what? There are worse things for somebody to take a lot of pride in and overthink than packing. I mean, this is like something to make it easier for everybody, to make it more organized for everybody. And she's in there doing it. She's not just pointing and telling people what to do. She's actually moving and shuffling things as well. So I'm just like, why did you have to point out that as a flaw? Like, but I also too I find it interesting is he can point out the flaws from other people, but then he says things like this.
Why are you so defensive all of a sudden?
I'm always defensive when you guys are criticizing me.
This is gonna be...
You guys, this moment right here, what he says. He says he doesn't handle criticism well. And are we not witnessing how bad this man handles criticism right now? Like this, like we're seeing him at his worst. And also too, this segment also talks about how him feeling like emasculated a little bit. And I feel like that was something that was happening because the wives had to be overly independent because of how polygamy functions, and how you don't really have them all around, which you actually see Christine talk about in this episode when she's actually helping to attach the washer and dryers because Kody's not always around. So as a woman in polygamy, you have to kind of figure some things out on your own. And it's interesting because I feel like this is one of those points that I've made where he has to feel needed, right? These other wives really didn't do that because they really had to be independent and kind of figure things out on their own. Robyn, however, was not that way. She, from the beginning, was very needy. She needed him for everything, to pay bills, to move her, to make decisions. You know, he felt like I feel like she let him, because she was so needy and so like, oh, Kody, can you help me? Can you save me? He felt like a man for the first time in years. And so I don't even know if it was necessarily he was in love with her, but he was in love with the way that it made him feel. And it's like you're trying to rewrite history and have these women go back in time and not be independent. That's kind of hard to do when you've put them in a situation where they've had to be to survive. So of course she's coming up looking like roses, smelling like roses. I thought that was interesting. If you think about that, you guys, tell me what you think about that in the comments, of course. All right, y'all. Robyn moves into her new house. It's only a block away from the old house. You guys, this is a total like Christine basement wife moment to me because think about this. You know, Christine didn't get a new home and a bigger home, and she's bringing in a new child. She's still in the basement. But Robyn gets to get moved and gets a huge house all to herself, all this space. And she also still gets Kody to herself because he's going to her house to split his time up, and she's not in a house with the other wives. So she doesn't have to divvy her time up. When she gets his time, it's focused time and energy. And I'm telling you right now, you guys, this is where that that snowball going down the mountain, creating an avalanche, this is where that stuff starts. So yeah, y'all, that was episode 3. It was a pretty good episode. I'm loving the rewatch because I am seeing exactly why these people are where they're at now. Thank you guys for joining me. Hey, hit the like button, share the video. If you haven't subscribed already, hey, subscribe. You're here. If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Also, check out my memberships. We launched memberships. I have a few amazing members so far. I'd love to add more so we can do some watch parties where we can see like my live reactions and do some other things where I'll have a few people maybe jump on the live with me and have a live conversation. I think that'll be a good time. You'd let me know. Either way, put your comments down below. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.